Hi, this is Pam from Heart of Texas Studio, and I want to show you one of our newest kits available. It's called Bits and Pieces of Life. It's made with the Maya Road album, and it has 6 pages inside. This is the cover, and you'll get some complete photographs of each page, but I want to show you some of it. This is a paper bag flower that I die cut that you'll get included, and I just used Tim Holtz Distress white picket fence stain and wild honey, and it just let it curl naturally. The butterfly is Tim Holtz fired brick distress stain. There's a Maya Road canvas, little canvas banner down under here. Some silhouettes that I used with just vintage photo washi tape. Some jute, that white jute that's just strung around the spool. Let's see if I can get a little closer to it so you can kind of see all of it up close. You do have a good picture, so you should be able to do this without any real issues. This is the spine that I just covered. You just wrap the paper around it, and this is the back. One thing I want to show you on the back is that this has a closure that is attached with a ribbon, and it's a little one of those clips that you used for the clip it up. This is what it looks like. It's just a little clip, and I put some alcohol ink on it to take some of the shine so it wouldn't be so bright. So before you cover the back, you have the instructions, but you want to put some score tape on here, and then put your ribbon down. It's about 4.5 or 5 inches. Just put the ribbon down on the end, and then tie a knot in the other end, and run your hook, tie some more ribbons on above that knot, and then run your ribbon through this little hole that's right here, the eye, and then I just closed it with some needle nose pliers so that the ribbon can't come off, and that gives you a good closure. It's just real important to put this on before you cover this back so that the seam binding is not going to show, the ribbon's not going to show. And then you just clip it to this for a closure, and it'll close looking like that to keep everything down. And I also did some inking or some distressing on the seam binding, and I'll attach a video of how I did that on any of them that you want to color. So the inside cover of this is a pocket, and it has 3 tags inside. And on each tag, I just added some things. This was a tab punch that I put on, and if you have one, fine. If not, you can just add your own embellishment. This was, I just used some scraps on the edge of the bottom of this and cut one of the words out and put a scrap piece of I think it's like a label that was on the paper, cut it out. And I don't know if you can see that. And it just says laughter, and I stapled it. And the third tag was just a ticket that I stapled to the top of the tag. This has a scalloped punch that I used on the inside of this paper just to give it some depth and some cuteness. I use this punch throughout. It's a Stampin' Up punch. I think it's retired now, but you can find it on eBay, or maybe if you know a Stampin' Up person that has it. I use it all the time because it's a small border punch, and I just think I like it. And each page of this book has flaps on it that open and open on alternate sides of each page. This is the cover of the first flap, and it has a wooden bird that I painted with fired brick and then glossy accents. And it has a little wooden house that I painted with distress stain, white picket fence, whatever it's called. And then each flap will open up on alternating sides. And I'll show you in just a few minutes how to do your flap so that it attaches, and you can open it in a real life flap. This is the inside of the flap, so you have more room for pictures. And this is the first page. It has just a tag that's on there that cut out and attached to that. And then this goes up. And the top of the first page has the craft tags or mats, which are already cut for you, and they're in your kit. And this is just a little card, flash card that I punched holes, you can see right in the center right here, and just tied a bow on that. And then this has some different mats and again some scalloped on there, you can see on the pictures. This is the second page, and you can see that this one opens from this side, and this says one of the family flash cards. I added a scalloped border to it. I cut some of the words that are on your strip and just added them to this. This has the scalloped border on that. And the inside of this is just room for pictures here. This is the page, which has just a blank mat that you can slip in and out with the pocket. And I just glued these two corners and rounded that one. The back of page 2 is again a mat that is pre-cut for you, a button, and you'll have jute included. I just took, let's see if I can get up there really close. I took some of the leftover scallop from a punch that I did and added it and cut a word out that said together and added to that. This is the next flap, which opens this way. And this flap, I just cut the ribbon in half and used score tape to attach it underneath the yellow part of the paper, and then just tied a bow and put it on top of this. And these are some icons that I just cut out of the paper. You do have a camera, if you can see that pretty good. A camera that I painted with the distress ink and glued a word over the top of it. On the inside of this is another little pocket that I rounded the corners and cut out icons, and you can see those, and put them in this pocket. 3 little tags in here. And on all these I left about a 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch border all the way around the edge so the craft paper would show through. This is another page that has some banner strips down here that are cut in fishtails, or has a banner strip. It's the ruler. And then I cut one of the little icons out of the paper that has all the photos on it. Just put a little piece of paper underneath it to make it look like a picture hanger. And I did mat. You will have to mat this with the striped paper that comes in your kit. And the back of this is the envelope page. You have the envelope. You also have a liner, and I'll show you how to do that. This is just scallop border, and this is the ribbon is cut in half. It gives you the measurements on each page and just unties, and the flap opens up and the flap's lined. You have the liner it may not be this one, but you do have a liner that's pre-cut, so you can just glue it, and I'll show you how to do that. And then you can tie your ribbon back. And this is another page that back up here is a flap. This flap has a belly band on that attaches here, so you'll just tear this edge, and then here is your tag that comes out. I scalloped the edge of the tag just so it would look kind of finished on the edge. And on the inside of this one is a 4 square icon that I cut out of the paper with all the icons. You have the blue mat that's in your kit. You'll just need to cut a square. I think it's 2.5 by 2.5. And then I did a button and tied it with jute and attached it. This banner page there's a paper of all the banners, and I just cut the one you want out. I just glued the 2 on the edges down and then pop dotted the others up so you can get your pictures up underneath there. And this is just another, has a scalloped border on both sides and a fishtail banner and a flash card, so you can just put your picture right in here. This is the ruler page. I like this page a lot. I just tied the jute and glued it down underneath and put a little icon bird up there. The key is with the fired brick and glossy accents once it's dry. Again, this page opens this way, and it's left plain so you can add embellishments or a journaling card, whatever you want. And this one does have 2 of the fishtail banners. One's the dot and one's the ruler, if you can see, sort of under there. And you have the circle included in this. I just punched this with a 2.5-inch circle. It's a card, just for the rose effect, and you do have the mat that's included in your kit. This, again, is an envelope that is included, and I just cut the back off and added some, here's a flash card that I cut, trimmed up, and put in there, and then 2 of these just from scraps, and added some buttons. It has, I added a strip of striped paper and a strip of the yellow paper just to give it a little bit more color. It has a postage stamp and a via airmail emblem that goes on there. And this is the last page, which says home. And this, you just have to be careful cutting your paper to make sure that you end up with enough to do 3. This is one side of it, and I glued up, had the home flash card. I glued and stapled a ticket and cut a border for this, and then cut a scalloped, punched a scallop border on both sides for that. And then when you open this up, there is another little icon that came from a piece of paper, and I think this was on the paper. It's a little, you can see that, hello, my name is, and just a piece of paper of this. And then another border that was used with, this was a doily, and I just cut it out, added some foam dots to make it stand up so you could get your picture. This is the doily page. I have the pink dots in the doily page. I cut all of these out of the paper, the flower, the cameo, the glasses, and the journal, and I just fussy cut around them and glued these down flat, and these 2 I just used pop dots and glued the journal, and just part of the journal was cut off, so I just cut it and stuck it underneath the doily, so you really can't tell that anything's wrong with it. It looks just really cute. And this is the last page. So this is the last page of your paper that you're going to use, which is just a little stream. And on the inside, I just glued it with, or covered it with some red paper. And you want to cut it, the dimensions, and you're going to fold, score it at 1/2 inch and tuck it under this blue paper. So just the blue paper is all you need to tuck it under, so it'll have a flap and it'll close. If you try to get it under the striped paper, it's going to be too thick and it won't fold right. It'll just flap in the wind, I guess. But just tuck it under your blue paper. The blue paper has scallops on it here, and you have this mat. And this is the last page, which is the bits and pieces of life. You have this mat. I cut a scalloped border along here. And these were just things that were cut out of the paper that's included. Fussy cut them. The button card, the spool, there's a needle, and then you have 3 small buttons that you can attach that's in your kit, and then this pearl button image. And again, this is the back of it. To show you how to do the envelope, which is on this page, this is what it looked like. It's pre-cut from We Are Memory Makers envelope. I think it's a 3 by 5. But just fold it your normal way, and then you have an envelope, a liner that you can put in here that will fit. I have to make sure which way is the right way, the short way. It's this. So you're going to fold it and put it in here like so. And then you don't have to use a lot of glue. You just want to glue it so that your seam is butting up against your other score mark right here. If you can see that, so that it'll hold. And I just put a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here, and left this kind of loose so it's going to fold and close smoothly. And then this one has a little bump right there that needs to be cut off. But anyway, do that, and then to tie your ribbon, you want to cut your ribbon in half and glue it on the back sides of your envelope, and then bring it around and tie it like this. You can see this is tied here, and so you're just going to, and you're going to add your card. You'll have to trim your card so that it fits, and this is at the very, very top of the page. You can see that it's just at the very top of this edge right here. And just tie your bow which I don't do very well upside down, but it'll work. You tie your bow, and then you're ready. And on the pages, what I found is the easiest to do, and you can certainly do it whichever way you want, but these are your pre-cut tags or flaps that are going to come with this, and you'll need to score a 1/2 inch on the non-rounded edge. It's not pre-scored for you, but you will need to do that. And then you want to add score tape to the bottom, to the back side of this right here. Let me get some score tape. Just put it on. I want to put it just a little bit away, from your seam score mark. I can't know why I keep calling it seam binding, but it's going to look, if you can see that, it's just a little bit away from that. And you need to put it on before you cover the base of your page, because it attaches to this. So I have pre-cut one of these pages out of just some scrap and glued it down, but I want my first page is going to open like so. So what I'll do is just pull my score tape off here and just attach this so that your score, let me get in a little closer so you can see a little bit what I'm doing, so that your score line is not covered by your paper. You want it to extend out just a hair. I don't know if you can even tell, but if you get it to, if you cover up your score line, I don't know if you can see that. Let me get over here. See, it's still, the score line is still visible, barely. I should have drawn a mark on it, but you can see that it's just barely there, so that when you close this flap, it's nice and smooth. And then go ahead and just cut your paper and glue this down. I just use an ATG gun to glue it down right here. Not getting, I don't want to get on the seam line. You're just going to glue right down through there. And if you want to ink it, it's a good time to do it. You can round these corners. I think I did some and then I just quit doing it. But the one thing you want to make sure of, and I didn't, is that you don't put this where the holes are going to be affected. So you put this down on here. You want to make sure that your holes, this is below your hole line. So you're going to put your score tape on here like so. Remember, it's on the back side of the fold, the score line, so it will fold like this. You're going to put your score tape on, and then you want to push this, put this just right below. You can see this. Right below your hole, so that it's going to give some room. Oops, missed. So that it's right below your holes. That's not where I want it. Just kind of line this up a little so that your score line hangs over just a little bit, like so. There, so that it hangs up just a little. So when you insert your paper or your covers, then you can just cover your paper and repunch your holes. So had I repunched my holes before I did this, I can punch my holes. What I used to punch my holes is the We Are Memory Keepers punch. It's a 1/4 inch punch, and it punches through chipboard just like butter. So once you cut this one, you can see that it, and you can sand and and around your corners and do whatever cutting you need to shaping to make it look fine. But see, it's over that. So that's not a good thing on here. So you want to take this, you want to do this before, and I'm just going to rip this because it's not anything that's going to stay. You can use undo if you have an issue with it. But you want to move it down enough right here so that, don't do it like this. This is messy. Put this on here. I'm making it much harder than it is. Anyway, and then fold it right here. So it still should be down from this. My score lines on this paper are not cooperating with me. So just right here, and it should be fine. Right in there, you can see. I'm making this much harder than it should be, but it's easy. Just make sure you check, and when you put this on before you cover, that you're above your holes, and you'll be fine on it. Again, that's pretty easiest trick. This, I've told you how to do this. It's really easy. Just do the ribbons. I'll do a video on how to do your ribbon, your seam binding, so that you can color it any color you want. You have yellow, but you can do, I did this one with wild honey. The other part, this ribbon part I did with vintage photo. I used, I think it was slate, and just roughed this up and put some alcohol ink on it, so that they're just really shiny. But it's a good way to use these little clips from the bind it or clip it up thing. And that's our album, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's available on our website, heartoftexasstudio.com. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. I'm going to show you how to add your flaps onto these pages. I'll show you how to do one. You'll need to start with the first one. When it's facing you, it'll be on your left, and then each will alternate from one side to the other all the way through on each side, the way they'll open. So it's just kind of opening left, right, left, right, left, right, like so. There's several ways you can do it. Just kind of do it whichever way is easier for you. The first one is going to be opening this way. I drew, I don't know if you can see, I drew a line just so I can tell where the holes, below the holes when I cover this up. So you can put the flap, you want the flap facing out, and this is scored 1/2 inch. And I put score tape on both sides. You can use just a tape gun on one side, but I'd use the score tape on the part that goes to the chipboard. And I just measured it and put it just right here on the edge of the chipboard. Zoom in a little bit so you can see that it just is barely right on the edge of that. It's just fitting right there on the edge. And just glue it down. Pull your score tape off and line it up again. It's easier if I turn it around the other way so I can see what I'm doing. Just put it right here on the edge. Like so. So now there's your flap, and it's lined up with your line that you drew. And this is going to be the paper. Let's see if I can get back out again. This is going to be your paper to put on here. And I've already drawn around it and punched the holes, which might be easier for you to do it like that, to just draw around it or tape it down lightly with removable adhesive, punch your holes and take it out. And you'll only need to do this on the front side. And then you want to glue this on to pull your tape up, your score tape on this side up. and you'll just glue it, just not over the seam line, just or the fold line, just right to it. And if you can see, it's just right at the flap, so that when you close the flap, it'll close and it won't stay. It won't keep popping open. And then I usually go back and just add some wet glue to the corners of each thing here, and this one's pretty well glued. These are glued. So whichever way you think is easiest, and this is your flap. If you want to round these corners, you can just do it before you put them down. Obviously, it won't hurt if you've rounded this. It'll just make it a little bit smoother and easier for you to work with. And glue this down, and this is your flap for that. You want to do this just alternating each page. Punch your holes. It's probably easier for you to do this if you just temporarily glue this down, cut your paper, punch your holes, and then you can kind of measure exactly where you want to do it. You can just, I'm going to pull this up. You can just put it, I don't think I can pull this up, but you can just open this up, put your score tape right on this, and then close it, and you'll be sure and get a good fold on it if you do it that way too. Hi, I want to show you how I use the color this seam binding. This is just white seam binding, and this is included in your kit, and it's shown on this page right here. And I use Vintage Photo to distress that. And first thing, I have a little mister of water, and I just missed the ribbon to get it damp, and this is some Tim Holtz, whoops, distressed Vintage Photo stain. And let me get in here a little closer. You can see that. Then I just missed that a little bit to kind of stir it around. And it doesn't take much because this is just a tiny piece of ribbon, so I'm going to kind of move it around so I won't get it too dark, but you can see the color. And once the color kind of absorbs, it's going to dry a little lighter. I just kind of rub it around until it takes on a hue like that. And then I just crinkle it up, and you can wipe off your surface with a baby wipe. Your hands comes off really easy on your hands. And then I'm just going to turn my heat gun on and let it dry, and I'll be back to show you the. Okay, during the drying, I just left it kind of crinkled up so that it would leave the wrinkles and the aging in it. And I don't know which way to go. That leaves the distress. And then you can also distress it a little by rubbing some of the Vintage Photo ink over it. I don't have any out here, but that would give it just a little bit of depth more. And then you can see that it has some it has just some aging in it as compared to the white ribbon. And that's how easy it is. So I hope y'all enjoy the kit. Thanks. Bye.